That's right, guys. You read the title correctly. Today we're going to be discussing which one of our favorite main cast members from Stranger Things is going to make it by the end of this final season. Because as we know, all bets are off. Anybody can go, nobody is safe. So I figured I'd take this moment to run through the gauntlet of our main characters and see who I think is most likely to stay alive and who's most likely to bite the bullet by the end of this. I think I'd do some fun titles for ranks and everything. Right side up for people who are obviously going to be okay, the unlikely to go, the 50/50s, the people who are running up that hill like Max last season who almost bit it but still stood a chance of surviving, and then the upside down for the people who are going to be upside down by the end of this. So let's go ahead and start with our first character right here, Murr. I honestly think he's a 50/50. He's kind of lost his charm over the last couple seasons. I could see them keeping him, I could see them not keeping him. I guess we'll just see what happens. Don't really have too much of opinion on him. Somebody I do have an opinion on though is Ted. Ted, I think, is definitely going to die this season, especially from the teaser trailer that we got. I think that Karen and Holly are actually staring at Ted, who has just sacrificed himself to try to save them and did not make it in the end. I think they're going to try to play that kind of a card because he's kind of been like a know nothing character that's there, but not really there. He hasn't really done much. It would not surprise me if the Duffer brothers decided to be like, hey, let's take this nothing guy and let's give him like the most heroic death ever. I think that's what's going to happen to him. With that being said, Karen, I think, is definitely running up that hill. The fact that Holly is going to get taken from some of the titles that we know from the episodes of season 5, Holly's definitely going to get taken. So Karen is not looking safe, especially since I think Ted himself is actually going to bite the bullet. I'm pretty sure that Karen's gonna go as well. There's a slight chance she won't die, and that's if Vecna or whoever is coming after Holly chooses to take Karen as well. That's really the only way I could see it going, but I think if anybody's gonna be made an example of, it's gonna be Karen. Speaking of that theory and everything, Holly, I think, is about a 50/50. I know she's a character we've had for a while. She's been in since pretty much episode 1 as that little itty bitty baby. We're finally going to get to develop her character a little bit and learn a lot more about her, which, if we know Stranger Things, yes, she's not a new character, but she is technically new. We're finally going to delve into her character. New characters either make it or they don't. That's how it goes in Stranger Things. Our next character is Erica. I think Erica is completely fine. The only way they kill off this character is for shock value alone, and that's really it. But I think she's fine. Robin is, I feel like, is unlikely to go. I feel like there'd have to be a really, really big character development for her in season 5 to really feel the weight of this character going. It would still upset people. I would still feel upset. But I just feel like she's very unlikely to go unless maybe she's sacrificing herself for either Vicky or Steve. But I don't see that happening. Another character I think is going to be unlikely to go is going to be Jonathan. I really only see him going the same way as Robin is sacrificing himself for either Nancy or Will. And that's honestly it. I think it's more likely that he'd probably go sacrificing himself for Will because they've set that up from the very beginning that Jonathan is honestly willing to do anything he can to keep Will safe and to keep Will happy. So, but I think he's unlikely to go. Joyce, on the other hand, I think she's at a 50/50 because I think it's going to be the same scenario as Jonathan, but I feel like they're going to ham this up and give more screen time to Joyce, especially based on the teaser trailer. She is pretty much glued to Will in that teaser trailer. Every single thing that Will is in, Joyce is also there. And I think she's going to spend the majority of the season right by Will's side, doing everything she can to keep him safe and to keep him going from because obviously whoever's coming after him is coming after Will physically and mentally, and it's just draining him to the point where it looks like he's going to be passing out a lot in the next season. Um, Hopper, on the other hand, I feel like he's running up that hill. We had the death fake out in season 3, which got a lot of people. Every time I do a rewatch, when I have to see 11 read that note from Hopper, still gets me every single time, even though I know Hopper is okay. but he's one of those characters that I could definitely see making some kind of sacrificial play or being used even against the group in a way of hurting people. So I could definitely see him going. I hope he doesn't, and I don't think he's going to. The only reason why he's in running up that hill and not upside down is because I do believe Eleven is going to do everything in her power to make sure he does not die or disappear again. She already had it happen before, and she's gonna make sure with all her power that it never happens again. Max. Where do I put you, Max? I'm gonna put Max in 50-50. Only because I don't know what the plan is with her character. She's still alive. She's still in the hospital bed. From what it looks like from the teaser trailer, it looks like she's actually getting better. She's no longer in all those casts or anything. But I just don't know what the plan is with her. Like, I've heard some fan theories going around that the only reason why she survived is so Vecna can then later possess her and use her to walk around in the right side up world. But from what we saw at the end of season 4, like those worlds merge together. Like what was once the upside down and the right side up is now one coherent place. So I don't think Vecna needs to possess Max to do anything anymore. So I'm just curious to see what happens with her character. But I give it about a 50-50. She's either gonna stay or she's gonna go. I can see it going either way. Um Lucas. Our boy Lucas. One of the funniest characters in the bunch. I think he's unlikely to go. I truthfully only see him going if that theory that I was just talking about with Max happens to be true, and it becomes a situation where it's like the shocking death of this series where Vecna possesses Max and then uses her body to then kill Lucas without him ever suspecting it. And then us as the audience are like, oh my god, wait, what? They just killed off Lucas? That's the only way I see that happening. Other than that, I think he's pretty safe. I don't really even see him like trying to sacrifice himself or anything for anybody, mostly because I feel like his sister Erica is going to be 100% safe. Like she's going to make it out of this no problem. The only questionable spot is what's going to go down with Max, and will that lead Lucas into some really bad danger? But I think he's going to be okay. Another one of the group members that I think is definitely going to be okay is Dustin. I think he's the safest out of the group members. Like, I've always felt like Dustin is safe. I've never felt worried that Dustin was going to bite the bullet at any point in the series. I feel like he's our safe go to, like, if we want to write out this show with a character and not feel heartbroken, stick with Dustin. I think Dustin's going to be fine. The only way I see him going is, like, for shock value, or maybe he tries to learn some stuff from Eddie and his sacrifice to buy time for everybody else, and then it cost him his life. Maybe Dustin goes down the same path as that and tries to buy time for people because he's always been the one that's been kind of scared and afraid, and he wants to be a hero just like everybody else. But since we kind of got that with Eddie, I don't think they would do it again with Dustin. And if they did do it again, I think Dustin would actually succeed and be okay by the end of it. So I'm putting my bet that Dustin's making it out of this perfectly fine. Uh, Mike, Mikey. I'm gonna put Mike in running up that hill. I feel like with how close he is to Will and Eleven and Hopper and just everybody, he's getting to that point where, especially from what we saw from the teaser trailer, is he's putting himself more in that front line. Like he's being a protector and a guardian, especially to those two new characters that we don't know anything about. And yes, they're not on this list. If I was to put them on the list, since I don't really know them, they'd go in 50-50 because that's just how it goes with Stranger Things. You get new characters, and either they make it or they don't. That's how it goes with new characters. Mike, I feel like is a little bit more in danger because I think Vecna is going to try to use Mike to try to get at 11 and weaken 11. And even if he's not getting at Mike, I think Mike is going to try to be more of a protector towards 11. It seems like he's been working his way up to that because in the past seasons, 11 has always been the protector of Mike. She's protected him from bullies, from the Demogorgon, from the Demodogs, from everything. She's always been his protector. And maybe in this season, we see the roles like flip, in that Mike becomes the protector of 11, but it might cost him his life. But at least he can like die smiling, knowing like, hey, I protected you this time. Like I could see it going like that, but there's this. I feel very safely that he's not 100% dead because this same thing with Hopper. I think Eleven's gonna do absolutely everything in her power to make sure that Mike does not die. Especially with what happened to Max and how she feels guilty about that. She doesn't want that to happen to anybody else. And she would die on the hill rather than let anybody close to her end up like that again. Our next character is Nancy. She's my second favorite character in the entire show, and I think she is in Running Up That Hill, which is surprising. I know. I think a lot of people feel like she's safe, but me personally, after rewatching the show and everything, I think they're kind of setting it up that she's gonna be like a surprise unsung hero that's gonna do. She's like a gender flip of the typical like male character of the one that's going to throw everything away to save the person that he loves. I think Nancy's actually going to do that for Steve. That's my guess. Especially after rewatching it again and seeing Steve and Nancy talk about Steve's future in the RV where he wants to have like these 5 to 6 kids running around, his little nuggets, his big happy family, and the way Nancy looks at him and just kind of she kind of gives like that smile of like you really do deserve that. I've seen how it is with the other kids here and how you're a really good babysitter. You deserve that and you would make a wonderful dad. But it's kind of like that smile of like she doesn't feel like that's what she wants, but she's happy to hear that that's what he wants. And I think she's going to do what she can to protect Steve so that he can then have that future that he's been talking about. And I really do feel like it's going to be Nancy sacrificing herself for Steve so he can live, and not Steve sacrificing himself for Nancy so that she can live. That's how I see it. But I mean, that's my idea. I know this one's a very heated topic, and I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Like, do you think it's going to be Steve sacrificing himself for Nancy, Jonathan sacrificing himself for Nancy, or Nancy sacrificing herself for Steve or Jonathan, or maybe even both to protect both of them? Like, it could go either way, and I just want to know what you guys think in the comments. Next, we got our boy Steve, and Steve isn't running up that hill as well. They have been teasing his death for what 3 seasons now. Not really that much in season 1 because he was actually supposed to die in season 1, but they loved the actor. They loved the way he portrayed the character that they actually decided to keep him going for at least one more season. And then from there on, it's history. Like Steve pretty much is one of, if not the most popular character on the show. Everybody loves him. Even if you hate him, you respect him. He's a great character. They've been teasing that he's gonna die for so long that I can't put him any higher than Running Up That Hill. Like they like to have us on our toes when it comes to Steve and keep us guessing. And if they do take Steve, I don't think it's gonna be till like maybe the final 3 or final 2 episodes of this next season where they do take Steve from us. I think he's more likely to survive than Nancy, but that's just me. But I put them about on par. We are at least losing one of them. We're either losing Nancy or we're losing Steve. That's the way it's going to go. I feel it. Next up, we have 11. And I feel like 11 is for sure going to be killed in this new season. With the way it's been ending the past couple seasons, it always ends with 11 screaming at the camera, blood coming out of her nose, and just her giving it her all to stop whatever has been causing problems this entire season. She did it in season 1 with the Demigorgon, where she then disappeared and everybody thought she died. She did it in season 2 to close the door. She did it in season 3 to stop the mind flare. And most recently, she did it in season 4 to, air quotes, defeat Vecna. And it's been taking everything out of her to keep doing this, even to the point that, what is it, at the beginning of season 3, she even lost her powers for a little bit because she just kept overexerting herself. And I think it's going to get to a point in this season where we're not going to have that happy ending. She's going to give it her all. She's going to give all her power into this. And it's going to cost her her life, but she's going to be able to save everybody that she cares about. I think that's what's going to happen. And I definitely feel like she's going to meet her end in this new season. And lastly, we got our boy Will. I'm gonna put Will in Upside Down. I think it all started with Will disappearing, and I think it's all gonna end with Will disappearing yet again. He, in my mind, is the key to all this. Like, Eleven's always been able to open that door. Vecna's always been able to mess around with stuff behind the door. But Will was the key that opened it. He opened Pandora's box, whether he meant to or not. He is the one that caused all this to happen with his disappearance back in what, 1983? Yeah. And now it's all going to end with him, and I think it's going to cost him his life. He's going to be that one to finally close the door with 11 and then lock it shut, and it's going to cost both him and 11 their lives. And it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be tear jerking, and everybody is going to be upset but also clapping at the end. I feel like that's what's going to happen. But that's my list. That's how I think it's going to go. As you see, I think a lot of people are on the chopping block here. I don't think very many people are safe. The ones that I do think are safe, I think most of us could probably agree that, yeah, these guys are the safe ones. We can find comfort in following their journey because we know they're gonna make it out of it. But we're gonna be in for one hectic ride in season 5. Like, we're gonna be losing a lot of people, and it's gonna be amazing. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think is definitely going to meet their end, and who do you think is definitely going to make it out? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Remember, this is all subjective, and if you think that some of my characters that I put in the Upside Down on Running Up That Hill are for sure going to make it, don't tear me up too much in the comments, but I would love to see your guys' personal list. So, thank you, and have a wonderful day.